Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Not true. So today we're wrapping up this 4-week series that we've talked a lot about how wisdom is one of the things that can make you better at anything. Today we're going to talk about how words matter, even more when you're facing conflict. Everyone handles conflict differently, but no matter what you do in conflict, words take the center stage. Words have power in your relationships with friends, family, teachers, and even strangers. It kind of works this way. When you're texting and you have the blank text message conversation, we all understand how predictive text or search history works, right? You type something out enough times or search a specific phrase enough and it's stored in the memory of your phone. Then anytime you go to type, your phone tries to be helpful and brings up what it remembers you've been typing or saying before. Like me, let's just see what happens, right? Just keep on texting and see what happens when we type it in to our phone and see what pops up. I always get missed texts. It always assumes what I want to send and it always gets it wrong. Okay, I'm not sure what that says about all of us, but you get the point. Words have a way of sticking with people, like they stick with our phones. No matter how hard we try to take the words back or clear their history, they tend to leave a lasting impact on the people who receive them, especially when they're harsh, hurtful, or just plain mean. But here's the most important part. One way our words with others are different than predictive text is that in some words only need to be said once to do some pretty significant damage. That's why I can still remember mean things people said 20 years ago, even though they probably forgot they said them 20 seconds later. I can still remember that it happened 20 years later. That is the power of words. Some of you have lost friends over words you've said or texted. Some of you have gotten into huge arguments with your parents because of the words that they used or the words that you used, causing some real damage. Some of you have teachers who get nervous to see you coming because they feel like you always have something disrespectful to say or your tone is always rude. What we say, how we say it, often carries more power than we realize. And unfortunately, sometimes in our relationships, they suffer because of those words. So what do? I mean, we have to use words to communicate. Is there a way for us to communicate during conflict without losing our cool? Is there a way to communicate that creates stronger friendships, healthier relationships, while also making a way for honesty? What we say and how we say it often carries more power than we want to realize. So what do? I mean, we have to use words to communicate. Is there a way for us to communicate during this conflict without completely losing it? Well, we've been looking at the book of Proverbs throughout this series. Proverbs is a book in the Old Testament that includes a ton of short sayings and principles that communicate specific truth to help us make better choices. Its main purpose is to teach us wisdom and the best way to live our lives. Dealing with conflict isn't something that only our generation has to deal with, which means even though what we're going to look at today was written thousands of years ago, it's a timeless, universal truth. And it goes like this. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Let's start with the second half of that verse, or the second choice. A harsh word stirs up anger. I would say harsh words are unpleasant words that are usually spoken with an angry tone, usually with the intention of shutting down the conversation, proving a point, or even hurting someone's feelings. Now let's go back to the first part of that proverb and see the different choice when it comes to using our words. Gentle words make it harder to be mad. Jesus was a great example of this. There were certainly times when Jesus used harsh language to call out religious leaders who were wrong, but there are also examples of Jesus applying the heart behind this proverb. One example was written down by Jesus' best friend, John. He writes about religious leaders trying to con Jesus into making a statement that would allow him to either stone a woman or that would take Jesus to court. What did Jesus do? To the angry leaders, he basically says, "Whoever is perfect, Whoever has never sinned, throw the first stone and start the process to kill her. What happens to the vengeful crowd? They literally turn and walk away. In the same way that Jesus' response turned an angry crowd, your words can diffuse a situation when it comes to somebody's anger with you. When it comes to dealing with conflict and arguments, wisdom says that technically we have two choices, even though really there's just one. If we want what's best for others and ourselves, we can respond with gentle words or harsh ones. If you want to be heard, use gentle words. To clarify, gentleness is not a weakness. It's the opposite. It's power under control. You have the power to impact people positively or negatively. When it comes to dealing with conflict in your relationships, the question you have to ask yourself is, would you rather make a point or would you rather be heard? Because oftentimes making a point is being heard are not the same thing, right? So what does this look like in real life? Well, if you want to be heard, then be the first one to hear. If you want to be heard by someone else, you must be the first to listen to what they have to say. Consider taking a time out and breathing if you're too angry. Maybe it takes a couple minutes, maybe it takes an hour. Just take that time for yourself. Imagine how different your friendships and relationships would be if everyone chose to use gentle words. So as you head out today, I want you to ask yourself this: how are you currently using the power of your words?